Last video, we did the best maps in Black Ops 2 because Black Ops 2 is what everybody's talking about. With the port most likely coming, you're going to be able to play Black Ops 2 on your PS4 or your PS5. It's time to look back.
We're going back in time.
Black Ops 2's had some of the best maps in Call of Duty history, to the point some of them have become the most spam remakes in the franchise, but I think the bangers like Raid and Standoff make it pretty easy to forget there was some pretty bad maps in Black Ops 2. One of those was Drone. I think this is one of the most annoying maps in the game to load into. Instant drop in the excitement whenever you saw the map pop up on your screen. You're all excited to play Black Ops 2, you just made a new class for aggressive play, you click on the game mode, and then you get thrown into a drone match in progress, and all your energy fades away because you're going to spend the next few minutes running around looking for people to only get killed by somebody sitting in the dark corner, or somebody hard scoping with a DSR on the far end of the map. No fun allowed here. Middle lane was just a long sniper alley. The two side lanes were just indoor camper pits where people hunker down with shotguns, riot shields, target finder, LMGs, shock charges, bouncing betties. Does that sound like a fun way to experience Black Ops 2? Because it was not. It's one of the worst maps in the game. Treyarch was honestly lucky this game had so many banger maps on day one to distract us from this one because this was impressively bad. Also, if you guys partake in the game of golf, go check out Jimmy Golfs. I've got a couple people over there already say, I know that voice. And then they leave me a comment and tell me that they used to watch me when they were a kid, make me feel really old, and now they're into golf. So it's kind of like this full circle thing. Link is at the top description. I would love to see you over there, especially if you can't break 90. Yeah, I want those people over there, the average golfers. Cargo. Now, I'm not sure if this is a hot take because I think some people actually like this map. But we have to talk about the 10 worst maps in the game, and if we're being honest with each other, which we always try to do on this channel, Cargo, it was bottom 10. That doesn't mean it was horrible, because most of the worst maps in the game were better than the crap in the new Infinity War games. I apologize for that. I do. But Cargo was never a map that I look forward to playing on. Honestly, reminded me a lot of Drone in the way that it played, and it wasn't a good thing. The middle of the map, it was a dedicated camper's paradise. Hold a scope up to their eyeball, and while the side lanes were often locked down by people employing the most obnoxious playstyles, you got corner camping, head glitching, shotgun spamming, it sucked the fun out of the room. Suck! Now, there was some cool things about the map, like the fact the entire midsection would change throughout the match as the shipping containers got moved around, but I would call this a solid 5 out of 10. Yeah, not terrible. Super overshadowed by a lot of other maps in the game. Kind of like... These segues are so smooth. Yemen. Am I allowed to say I never really liked the map? I know some people swear by it. Swear it was one of the best in the game. I know it was pretty good for competitive matches, but when it came to pubs, I don't think so. It was too big. It messed with your pacing, especially when you had people camping in one of the several chest-high windows they could head glitch on. Yes, there was some fun flanking routes, and it wasn't a bad map, but it was never a map that I voted for when it came up in the pregame lobby. Out of all the larger maps in Black Ops 2, I think Yemen was my least favorite because it felt out of place. If you threw this map in Classic Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3, I think it would have been a lot better. But my second hot take, is that Yemen was mid-tier at best for pubs. And frankly, that's probably going to be the second of a few hot takes in the video. But for now, let's talk about that everybody would have put on their bottom 10 list. And if you try to say you wouldn't, call this next map one of the worst in the game, I'm going to call you a liar. I'm talking about Pod. Do you ever remember POD? Does anybody remember Pod? Did you ever vote for Pod? Nobody sought this map out. Nobody was asking to play this map, ever. And if you were asking to play this map, I can only assume that you were just looking for a sleep aid because it was boring. It was boring in every game mode. It was one of those maps that honestly isn't bad when it comes to the layout. And it's not like there was real big glaring problems with it, but the way it played was boring. It was slow, and the only consistent strategy here was to hunker down somewhere and take pot shots from mid-range or longer, which isn't a very fun way to play the game like Black Ops 2 is. Pod reminded me a lot of Drone, but with less focus on flanking. So it was Drone without the one thing that could sometimes make Drone fun, and you had to pay extra for it because it was a DLC map at the time. Paying extra for Pod, that's not right.
Not right.
Not right?
That's right.
Now, this next map is one of those maps that everybody forgets about because, well, it's forgettable. But I'm the guy that makes you remember. Overflow. It was a filler map, 100%. Like, Treyarch was out of map ideas but needed something else to put in the game out on launch day in the lineup, so they rushed out a mid-size urban warfare map that could have been slapped in any Call of Duty game, and nobody would have thought twice about it. Perfectly functional as far as Call of Duty maps go. but it doesn't do anything well, particularly well. It's just here. Honestly, it just exists. That's worse than being bad in some ways, because at least with bad maps, we can focus and hone in on the specific things that sucked. But when you have the totally forgettable maps, what are we supposed to say? Overflow was fine. Had streets and buildings and windows and rooms. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It was just there. Another one that was just there, but it wasn't any good, is Detour. It looked cool. It was visually memorable, but the layout wasn't fun. This was the map with the busted bridge and all the cars on the broken road. Who remembers that? I'm sure you can picture it, but I doubt any of you have any good gameplay memories, because besides the theming, it just didn't do anything. The layout was long and narrow, which typically is not a good design for a game like Call of Duty. There was a bunch of annoying spots where you could actually fall off the map if you weren't careful. I mean, looking at it, Detour was kind of like an early version of Sanacina border crossing. I said it. You know I'm right. Long, narrow, full of cars, really annoying to play on because the random grenades that get tossed at your feet would be from the other side of the map. Now, obviously, border crossing was an infinitely worse map, but Detour, it wasn't great. I'll confidently call it one of the worst maps in the game. And since we're talking about not so great DLC maps with cool theming, how about Hydro? Really cool setting, interesting visuals. Gameplay, crappy. Mid-size map, hydroelectric dam. Layout designed to push everyone towards a few different choke points. The layout was okay-ish, but halfway through the map, the whole thing would flood with water. It would instantly kill you if you touched the water. It was magic water, because apparently your badass soldier couldn't tread water, and the water would just almost instantly destroy any equipment or score streaks that touched it well. It was magic water. I mean, your Guardians, your sentry guns, they couldn't get wet. They would explode. So it was an average at best map with really annoying and frustrating interruptions at least once a match. And if you had to pay extra for the privilege of playing on the magic water, I don't know about you guys, I don't think it was worth it. Now, I'm a sucker for a good snow map. But this next one, it wasn't really a good snow map. Frost. I think it was more of an annoying snow map. When you think of snow maps from Black Ops 2, you think of Downhill, which is pretty fun despite not having everybody's, I guess, best interest in mind, not everybody's cup of tea. But then there was Frost. Basically just a bunch of random buildings and wide streets covered in snow with some really awkwardly placed walls and set pieces that made it feel like it was a lower tier COD 4 map. Yeah, slow, weird, open, boring. Didn't even make the most of the fact that everything was covered in snow because it wasn't even that fun to look at. Treyarch is perfectly capable of making awesome snow maps. I don't know what happened here. It reminds me a lot of Overflow in the sense that it felt like a filler map. Like Treyarch needed to rush another map through development, so they just made the safest, most straightforward urban map possible. But then they thought it was too boring, so they tried to spice it up because they threw powder on it. You can cover a boring thing in snow as much as you want. It doesn't make it less boring. I mean, Frost was a very low effort map if you ask me. I don't think anybody enjoyed playing on it, but at least it wasn't a remake that nobody asked for, right? Treyarch would never do a remake that nobody asked for, right? Okay, look. A remake that nobody asked for. Takeoff. A lot of people forgot this, but Takeoff was a remake of Stadium from Black Ops 1. It's not like Stadium was a huge fan favorite. Heck, most of you probably never played Stadium to begin with because it was a paid DLC map from the Black Ops 1 era, and it's not like people were really talking about it back in the day. I don't understand the logic behind remaking unpopular DLC maps from Black Ops 1 and then selling it as DLC in Black Ops 2. Takeoff had this very strange layout with some really frustrating spawns and kind of, I mean, to be real, unfair power position placements, which led to a lot of blowouts, a lot of spawn traps, a lot of no fun. Again, it was all made worse by the fact that it was a remake of a map that nobody was asking for a remake of, and Treyarch had this giant list of fan-favorite maps from World at War and Black Ops 1 that they threw a dart at the board and they picked Stadium out of all of them. And even after they insisted on remaking Stadium, they didn't make it better than it was. Seriously, what's the deal with Treyarch remaking Black Ops 1 DLC maps that nobody wanted remade? Because in Black Ops Cold War, they remade Zoo. They remade Drive-In for some reason. I guess Drive-In, you could argue. Not Zoo. Nobody was asking for those. No, I don't know. I don't get it. And now we've arrived at the end of the video. Yeah, I may have some hot takes throughout the video, but this number one pick, I think we're going to hold hands and agree on. Aftermath. Suck giant butts. Everybody knows it. A map that takes place in a destroyed version of downtown Los Angeles with a layout that genuinely felt like a campaign level that Treyarch just slapped some spawn points on and threw into multiplayer. Yeah. Flow, non-existent. Spawn logic, no sense. Lighting, super inconsistent. There were some places where you could camp in plain sight and nobody could see you. There was a bunch of places that were totally unused on the map. Way bigger than it needed to be. Really felt like a modern Infinity War map, but in a really good Treyarch game from 2012, which is kind of insane if you think about it. Maybe Treyarch was just trying to look into the future, give us a little warning of what was coming, so that way we'd appreciate what we had a little more before it was taken away with us. I don't know. That's the excuse that I come up with. This map is bad in a really good game. Aftermath sucks. It does. It's the worst map in Black Ops 2 by a landslide. If you think I'm exaggerating, wait until the re-release comes out and you get to see for yourself. Nobody is exaggerating about how bad this map is. There you have it, my friends. Let me know 2 maps that sucked that I did not mention. I'll see you soon.